You hardly knew how hungry you were to be gathered in, to receive the welcome that invited you to enter entirely. Nothing of you found foreign or strange, nothing of your life that you were asked to leave behind or to carry in silence or in shame. You began to breathe again. You learned to sing. But the deal with this blessing is that it will not leave you alone. It will ask you to leave and become the sanctuary that you found. The sermon today is The Lovers, the Dreamers, and Me, and as mentioned, it was written by Reverend Tess Baumberger. They warned us about this in seminary, that when you start preaching on a regular basis, anything and everything can become sermon fodder. It is an occupational hazard. You can be kicking back, watching a sitcom on television, when suddenly you sit up and say, I could use that in a sermon. Or you could be watching a film in a movie theater or at home on television when it hits you that the story embodies a religious concept so well you must use it in a sermon. This happens to me quite often because I love watching movies. Now, when it comes to sermon fodder, some movies stand head and shoulders, or should I say flippers and beaks, over other movies with religious themes. Today, I'm going to talk about a film that, in ways both wise and silly, addresses some deep issues about how we can live together on this earth, and also in our theologically diverse Unitarian Universalist congregations. I am speaking, of course, of that epic, great Muppets from Space. This fine film's religious themes are obvious from the first scene. We see an ark, Noah's Ark, in a desolate landscape. Clouds glower menacingly in the horizon and lightning strikes. We see animals entering the ark 2 by 2. And then, in the foreground, we see the distinctive profile of our hero. He even has a heroic name, Gonzo the Great. Yes. Gonzo, with his funny, beaky thing who loves chickens and who shoots himself from cannons for fun, that Gonzo. Gonzo rushes up to the ark and speaks to Noah, who he addresses as Mr. the Ark. He says he thought he'd missed the boat. Noah asks him, "What are you?" It so happens that a related question, "Who are you?" is a central religious question. Gonzo replies, "Put me down as a whatever." Noah asks, "What is your species?" And Gonzo says, "There's only one of me." Noah replies, in a deep voice rolling like the thunder itself, "Then you are doomed." He slams the door shut, and Gonzo looks up at the heavens and cries from the depths of his furry little soul, "No! No, I don't want to be alone, no!" It is, of course, only a nightmare. But it sets the stage for a story of self-discovery, Gonzo's quest to solve the problem of his own identity. Now, that sounds like a spiritual journey to me. The story has elements that may be familiar to many of us when we think about our own paths, the paths that led us here today. Many people who enter houses of worship these days have never been part of a congregation before. Their lack of religious background, coupled with the isolation so rampant in our society, might leave them feeling like spiritual oddities, like there is no place where they would fit in, spiritually speaking. Like Gonzo approaching the ark, they see what looks like a haven of safety in a threatening world and are drawn to it. Like Gonzo, some might find church doors slammed in their faces. This may be because their theology is too different for that place, or because their social values are too liberal, or because they are gay or lesbian, transgendered, or bisexual. And as the doors close to them, like Gonzo, the spirits of these searchers might cry to the heavens, "No, No, I don't want to be alone. Others who come to us seeking religious community have had experience with churches in the past. However, their beliefs may have changed so much over time that they no longer fit in. Or, as often happens in the queer community, when they come out, their faiths of origins push them out. These people can feel cut off from their religious roots, which is a source of grief. Many no longer know who they are as religious people, but need a safe haven. People who visit houses of worship are, at some level, trying to solve the problem of their religious identity. Like Gonzo, they want to know where they belong. People who come to us having been rejected by other churches desire a safe place in which to explore the question of their religious or spiritual identity. If we are able to provide that for them, they can make our lives more beautiful. Sometimes we succeed in doing this. Sometimes we fail. It is not just other churches that slam doors in other people's faces. For example, a mother and her child, a disabled adult, came for a while to the church I was serving in Franklin, New Hampshire. There was no place for the daughter's wheelchair amongst our pews. She stuck out in the middle aisle. After a while, they stopped coming. I learned from this experience that we need to be ready to accept people with special needs. Another family attended for a while, then stopped because they said we were too political. It's true that our congregations can be uncomfortable for people who are anywhere right of left. It is important to recognize the complexity of issues and the diversity of views that can be held by religiously liberal people. After all, there's a place among the Muppets for the ultra-American Sam the Eagle. He teaches the chickens aerobics in the mornings. He sits at the same table with all the others. Gonzo needed gentle acceptance and support on his journey of self-discovery. We all look for guidance on our spiritual journeys. For Moses, it came through a burning bush. For Gonzo, it is through food. At the beginning of the movie, his Captain Alphabet cereal spells out a message telling him to watch the sky. As he sits on the roof doing so, a great and mysterious force strikes him, transporting him to a starry realm where he meets the cosmic knowledge fish. The cosmic knowledge fish reveal that Gonzo is a space alien and that his people are trying to reach him. He's not alone after all. Gonzo's attempts to contact his alien family land him in trouble with a secret government agency looking out for the threat of alien invasion. They imprison poor Gonzo. And the Muppet Gang responds by rallying round and forming a rescue party. They find Gonzo and break him out, making their getaway in the Electric Mayhem Band's multicolored bus. Kermit, the wise leader, says, "See, guys? When we pull together, we can do anything." That's when Gonzo informs them that they need to go to the beach at Point Doom because his sandwich told him to. See? I told you Gonzo receives spiritual guidance from food. Everyone groans, but Kermit says to Gonzo, "It doesn't matter what we believe. I mean, if you believe you need to go meet your alien brothers, then I say we're going to the beach." And they do, of course. And here's where I think this movie can teach us some deep lessons about how to be together in religious community. The Muppets, out of love for one another, are willing to stretch themselves in order to accept and support Gonzo on his journey of discovery. They do this even though they don't believe he's really receiving messages from the beyond. Now, we are not expected to support each other's beliefs quite as out there as Gonzo's. However, some of the beliefs of our brothers and sisters in faith may seem alien to our worldview. Their religious or political beliefs, or the way they live our lives, may be completely different from our own. Nevertheless, Our value of inclusion calls us to accept and support each other in our spiritual journeys. Nothing says this will be easy. However, I believe any religion worth its salt should take us beyond our comfort zones and challenge us to grow. Muppets from Space provides an extreme example of a diverse community coming to support one of its members in his admittedly odd life journey. In doing so, this ragtag group often demonstrates what it means to be a healthy community. For instance, they know they're all different from one another, and yet, in some important ways, they're very similar. They have a good sense of their separate identities and of their identity as a group. They know what their individual gifts are and contribute them to the group's efforts. Moreover, the Muppet Gang has a good sense of loyalty to one another. For instance, when the gang gets together to go rescue Gonzo, Kermit says they're going even though it's dangerous because Gonzo is one of us, and no matter what happens and no matter what obstacles we face, we never forget one of our own. Of course, poking fun at Muppet imperfection, someone immediately points out to Kermit that they just forgot Beaker and Dr. Bunsen Honeydew back at the gas station. The heroic music that had been playing in the background winds down, but Kermit recovers quickly and says, well, from now on, we never forget one of our own. And of course, the heroic music gears up again. To me, this shows what it means to be a covenantal community. We look out for each other and promote one another's well-being, knowing we will do this imperfectly. Sometimes we mess up, we drop the ball, we leave members behind. The best we can do when that happens is to make amends as well as we can and resolve to do better in the future. In the movie, Muppets from Space, the Muppet Gang waits with Gonzo on the beach until his alien family appears. Gonzo finally solves the problem of where he came from and who he is, but he still faces the problem of where he belongs. Does he belong with the alien family he just met, who look like him, or is his place with his ragtag Muppet family? You can guess how it ends. Gonzo stays with those who loved and supported him on his journey. The people who come to us seeking answers to the question of their own religious identities may face this choice at some point. Do they find communities with others that look like them? Or do they join our congregations with members whose beliefs and lives are as varied as the Muppets look? My own religious journey has brought me close to my liberal Christian roots, something I would never have expected when I first entered a Unitarian Universalist church nearly 30 years ago. On the way to where I am now, I found some healing with the goddess, read works by Buddhist teachers like Thich Nhat Hanh, learned about Jewish religious traditions, and developed a yoga practice. I could not have taken all those steps along my journey in most churches. I love this about our faith. The many sources of inspiration open to us, allow us to explore the wide range of spiritual paths in the same religious community. And I choose to remain here because I love the diversity our acceptance of one another can create. I love being in community with people who believe very differently from me. Maybe that's true of Gonzo as well. To me, it's more interesting to be among people that look or feel or believe differently. To me, it's more beautiful that way. Wherever those who seek amongst us end up, with us or in other religious communities, I salute them for taking up the question of their spiritual identities. I hope we can provide them safe haven for seekers to explore their beliefs. If they go back to their faiths of origin, I hope they find love and acceptance. If they go to faiths where everyone holds very similar beliefs, I hope they find a sense of belonging and connection. If they choose to stay with us, I welcome them with an open and thankful heart. Like Kermit and the rest of the Muppets did for Gonzo, I accept them as they are and will support them loyally in their spiritual journeys, however different those journeys are from my own, wherever those journeys take them. You see, I believe that when we are accepted as we are, we grow in self-esteem. This growth can uncover gifts we never knew we had, so that we stand a little taller and bloom a little brighter into this, our lovely bouquet of colors, scents, and sizes. Or should I say, our variegated crew of fur, beaks, feathers, flippers, fins, waggly ears, and bulgy eyes. We are all earthlings, after all. Our closing hymn is number 168 in the gray hymnal, One More Step. That's number 168 in the gray hymnal. Please rise in body or spirit.